The dollar index is losing crucial higher time frame support levels. And in this episode, I'm going to explain to you how this is extremely bullish for the price of Bitcoin. Right over here, you have the dollar index, and in the orange, you have the price of Bitcoin. Every time on higher time frames that the dollar index finds its peak, you can see how the price of Bitcoin just days after finds its bottom and gets into a major rally. I'm going to explain in detail what is happening here during the last few weeks and what could happen as well to get the price of Bitcoin to hit all-time high in the coming weeks. Of course, we'll be going in detail. What are the most important levels of support and resistance that we need to take into consideration here locally for the price of Bitcoin and the huge amount of liquidity that is sitting above us? We are back in the greed phase, not hitting extreme greed, which is also a good sign. We're not seeing that huge, massive hype that could be happening in the coming weeks to smash those all-time highs. There's incredibly bullish macro news that we'll be going through to the end of this episode, guys, so make sure to stay tuned. A quick reminder, if you are interested in trading, Bybit is my #1 crypto trading platform, but if you cannot trade on Bybit, you have a great alternative, which is bluffing, guys. You have the best deal with the third link down below in the description, 80,000 deposit bonus, all right? The more you trade and deposit, the more airdrops you're going to get to your exchange. Let's dive in right away through this over here. And let's start off with the dollar index, keeping it extremely simple. This is the dollar index on the daily chart. And there is an extreme bearish case scenario for the dollar, which is basically losing this point of control that we did find resistance and support during the last few months. Right now, you can see that we're forming a symmetrical triangle. This symmetrical triangle is forming after a major downtrend from 2022 and 2023, meaning that it has right now high probability in breaking down in the coming weeks. Now, we know the negative correlation with Bitcoin is massive, and you cannot deny that. Here we do have the price of Bitcoin in the orange. Like I explained at the beginning of this episode, we can see how every time we find a peak on the dollar index, we can see just days, even a couple of weeks after, we can see the price of Bitcoin finding a bottom and getting into a major rally. As you can see, you got the dollar index moving down, the Bitcoin price moving to the upside. Now, what we will need to understand here, now during the last few weeks, we can see the dollar index in May finding a major downtrend. We also saw the price of Bitcoin dropping slightly, overall finding the bottom and getting a major rally. Also, the price of the dollar index, you can see here how it found its peak just in June, okay, late June. This is where we had a little bit of downside for the price of Bitcoin, and now the price of Bitcoin getting a major bounce as we are continuing to move to the downside. Now, we are losing crucial support at the moment. I wouldn't just say just yet that we are losing this level. It could end up in a fake out and get a bounce, but it looks pretty promising. If we are going to start losing this point of control from the last 3 years on the dollar index, we have extreme high probability that Bitcoin is just going to continue to the upside to hit all-time highs. This loss of the point of control will be a clear sign of weakness, and as we are forming this symmetrical triangle on the higher time frames, we have high probability that the higher low support and the value area low will be tested potentially in 1 or 2 weeks. This major downtrend is only going to be bullish for the price of Bitcoin, as I explained that negative correlation that you can see on the chart. So overall, the next coming days are going to be crucial. Yes, tomorrow is Friday, and potentially we are not going to be losing this level just yet. But by Monday next week, it does have a high probability that we could be seeing a very bearish week for the dollar index, okay? Bringing that continuation for the price of Bitcoin. So it's still very soon. This could still end up in a fake out and get a recovery. First, a little bounce where we could be seeing a corrective move for the price of Bitcoin. But overall, it looks very promising. Coming from a downtrend here, as you can see on the chart, we could be forming this corrective structure. I have been bullish on the dollar index for the last few months, as we were above the point of control of the entire range. But looking at the price action right now, I am feeling a little bit bearish on the dollar index. If we lose this level of support, which is the point of control, which is already testing beneath it, there is high probability we get that rally for the price of Bitcoin in the coming weeks. And if we are going to come down here, this huge level that has been support will be resistance, and the probabilities of the dollar index continuing a downtrend for the next coming months is very, very high. Going here to the price of Bitcoin, we are going to talk about the crucial levels of resistance and support. Now, there is many ways of counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are creating the fifth wave here inside of a third wave, or we just creating the last fifth wave to get a huge major corrective move in the next coming months. Nevertheless, we are looking for those all-time highs to be hit in the coming weeks. So what we need to understand here is what are the levels that need to hold as support, and what are the levels that are going to get rejected also to consider some shorting day trade setups. Hey, you can short Bitcoin as well if you know how to do it safely in an uptrend, because there are some crucial levels of support, and this is what is going to be explained right away in this episode. Keeping it extremely simple, you have the point of control from the entire range between March and July. Now we are getting very close to that point. Will we front run that level and get a big major pullback? The levels of support that need to hold is round about the $60,000 range. This is the zone that we want the price of Bitcoin to find some support right there. This could be in confluence with an inverted head and shoulder with a very steep ascending neckline, okay? Very aggressive ascending neckline, but I have seen these inverted head and shoulder patterns that turn out to be very explosive. So what you want to speculate in, if we are going to get a pretty deep pullback of several $1,000s, is the level of support. If we are speculating that we have finished this ABC corrective structure, well, you want to speculate that you are inside of the first impulsive wave here, and you are forming the second wave potentially in the next coming days. So I wouldn't be too worried on this pullback. We have gained the value area low from the entire range between March and July. This zone is likely going to maintain our support. You might see some fake outs beneath this level to shake some weak hands and get extremely bearish. Now we can retrace all the way down to the 7/8 Fibonacci in a wave 2. So you could come as low as $56,000. Now that would be crucial. You are going to be thinking, oh my goodness, we have lost the value area low and it's just looking extremely bearish. That would be the ultimate level here in the bearish case scenario. I do expect the $60,000 to $59,000 range to maintain as support on the higher time frames based on the value area low and seeing weak volume, okay? If we are going to get some choppiness here in this range, seeing proof of support, without a doubt, this is going to be extremely bullish. That is where I would be speculating onto some major swing long positions to look for that third impulsive wave that should be coming in the next coming weeks. Now, we do not know if the price is going to retrace as low as that level. You just need to be ready because that is the level that should be maintaining as support. 50% Fibonacci, okay? Value area low, that is the zone where the price should be dancing around. Now you may ask yourself, hey, what about the CME futures gap that we do have all the way down to $58,000? That is also in confluence with the 618 Fibonacci if this were to be the peak high. So it's kind of, shall we fill the gap here and form the right shoulder, okay, of this inverted head and shoulder, okay? It's not the most beautiful one. It looks like a humpback Notre Dame, right? Inverted head and shoulder. So yeah, it's still looking bullish as we are speculating on a wave 2 right there, and this being the finished ABC. So around about $58,000 to $60,000 range should be the zone where we should be seeing proof of support if we were to get a major pullback in the next coming days of several $1,000s, okay? It will not be the moment to panic. It will be the moment to be ready to see that sign of support and look for some different patterns and confluent zones to get that reversal scenario, okay? So that's higher time frame, major level of support. Fill the CME futures gap, definitely a possibility. We could find support in between 50% and the 618, which is round about the CME futures gap. Get that fake out from the value area low of the trading range, okay? We can see fake outs of the value area low many times, all right? If the volume is very low, then obviously we are looking for that reversal sign, and this could be the formation of a very large impulsive third wave coming, okay? We have had beautiful price action to the upside during the last few days, okay? So a pullback is definitely on the cards. What if the price does continue to the upside, all right? There is some local resistance here, of course, where we do have that weekly naked point of control, also a daily naked point of control. We're not managing to maintain it as support. This is basically from price action that we had here in June. You can see that high volume node round about this zone, okay, where we are getting that resistance. Now, if the price is going to continue to the upside, right, which is the next big major level of resistance, well, without a doubt, it is the point of control of the range. We could have a sweep of the lower highs that we have here in June. We have a huge amount of liquidity also at that zone where we could be getting a pretty decent rejection. So I am interested only in this level for higher time frame short scenarios, okay, where we could get a much deeper pullback. On lower time frames, yes, without a doubt, we can speculate onto some short positions. But if you want more than of that, you have the Legends trading community where we go in detail on the 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, those local levels of support and resistance where we can look for some scalping setups. You have the link down below in the description, which is the first one to join the Legends trading community. Now let's dive in right away into the liquidity. There is billions of dollars of short liquidation still at 66, 67, all the way up to $72,000, where we do have huge amount of liquidity. As you can see, just at 72.3K, there is $5.6 billion of short liquidations. Everything points out that we should be heading all the way up there in the coming weeks to get all of that liquidity. So it's looking pretty good. There is more liquidity to the upside than to the downside. So everything looks very bullish. We do have the fear and greed index already at greed. Last week, we even hit extreme greed. So everything's flipped very strongly. Now, it's not still at extreme greed. At extreme greed is where I would be getting a little bit worried for a deep pullback, all right? When we do get to extreme greed or extreme fear, that is when the price flips. We just hit extreme fear for 2 days last week, and we reversed right away, as you can see. So getting into the extreme zones is where you need to be worried. We're still at greed, so we still have some room to get to extreme greed, where we could be seeing a pretty big major pullback. Going into some massive bullish news, ETF inflows of 429 million. That is 6,600 Bitcoin just yesterday, guys. In the last 3 days, over $1 billion of inflows, which is absolutely crazy. We can see how they are accumulating like never before. This is macro bullish. We do have the president of Bitcoin magazine, Mike Germano, says there will be a very bullish Bitcoin announcement at the RNC this Thursday, which is basically today, guys. We are going to see some big news coming into the RNC of 2024, which is probably going to ignite some massive bullishness. So there is a big Bitcoin announcement. This could bring some massive hype, getting the price of Bitcoin to much higher levels in the coming days. Something to take into consideration: payment giant Stripe to launch Bitcoin purchases for Europe. Very bullish sign. insanely macro adoption news right over here in front of your eyes. This could be a full recipe for a super cycle. This is going to be it, guys, for this episode. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.